So I think a lot of data has to be collected, or it has to start. But country like India or many other countries, I think, still have difficulty in terms of data collection. But in generally, I think for both of you, data protection and data collection is a very, very crucial thing. I mean, whatever you are doing, this part comes inevitably into it. I mean, you cannot just do without that, because if I see that
Yes.
your whole work is somewhere into the data, and how you use it and all those things. So
And
how's the challenge? What's the challenge actually in terms of it? Do you face a challenge in terms of data, in terms of while working on the research projects?
yes, so there is a huge challenge, at least with this medical data, right? So, I mean, there is a huge challenge in all kinds of data because of noise, and also companies would not want to share their data for obvious reasons. But for medical data, there are huge challenges here, which are, there are huge, there are big, I mean, there are also dilemmas, right? So, you because this data is very personal, and if it's misused, right, so if it goes into wrong hands, it can lead to certain kind of discrimination, right? So if somebody finds that your family, your father is sick, your mother is sick,
Right.
maybe there is a high chance that you would also get sick, and I would charge you a big amount of money on your
Right.
insurance. Or in countries like India, where still we have, I mean, there are some diseases associated with taboos, right? So, I mean,
Right.
also in the countries, but
Sure.
there are some more sensitive social cultures where this becomes even a bigger problem. And also the other part is, if these big companies are using your data, they are earning millions of euros with that. What are they giving you, right? So these days, I mean, on the one side, we have this privacy, which is very difficult to accomplish without destroying the utility of the data.
Right.
And the other side, there are questions regarding the intellectual property of the data. If my data is helping you to make a new medicine to earn millions of euros, why am I not getting any of it?
Hmm.
Right, so there are these conflicting issues. I mean, there are challenges, there are works being done on it. We also work on privacy preserving data mining, and I mean, there is no optimal solution as yet, but the work is in progress, and I believe that the societies all around the world would find a reasonable solution, because uh, just not using this data is not an option for us. We have to move forward, at least to get relief from the pain, even if we could not become gods and
Right.
not allow people to live forever. But nobody deserves to suffer, and I think there is a real noble goal behind all of this precision medicine, and we need data for that. And I hope this is, I mean, there is always an adversary, right? So if people stop becoming adversaries, then this problem would solve. But that's not the optimal. I mean, that never, almost never happens.
Yeah. Avi, you would like to add anything onto that?
Yeah, so I think the healthcare is actually a particularly stark example where data privacy is at the heart of everything, right?
Hmm.
So health is a very personal thing, and there are challenges of privacy and data sharing and research data management, even, right? I take a different perspective because I work on a different
Right.
domain, right? So, for example, a lot of this data, which is produced because of consumption of services or mobile online services, right?
Hmm.
Search being one of them, and you're almost always on some online service, right? Most of this data is actually getting accumulated in big companies like Facebook, Google,
Okay.
Twitter, and all, right? So this is actually very personal data. Also, it's your trace. You using these services for free, but these companies actually have these big silos of data. Okay,
Hmm.
uh, which is also okay because they're providing the service for it, and for free,
Right.
and what they're getting data, right? But this data is actually a treasure trove of behavioral data. So these companies also know what is interesting, what if they decide, if YouTube now decides, right, well, I know that people are looking at a lot of these live streams, right?
Hmm.
And now to monetize these live streams, I have these things like super chats and everything. Okay. So they can really move forward and really exploit the user behavior as nobody else would. So that is, in some manner, is destroying competition, if you wish, right? So there is the playing field is not as leveled as it was before in the online marketplace, where a new startup would come and launch a new thing, right? Because they have unfair advantage of knowing about what these companies know. It does not always mean that it is bad, right? It is giving us access to more utility services. But the thing to ponder about here, as a research community in general, is that there is a big difference between the researchers who are working in companies and who are working in the academic labs because of this big data divide, right? So I, as a information retrieval researcher, does not have access to all the interesting data because the searching behavior changes over time, right? And I am kind of working on data sets which are kind of oldish, if you wish, are not representative of the actual current behavior. So this is a constant struggle for researchers in this day and age when there is this data disparity. So I try to solve this myself personally by keeping abreast with what the companies are doing. So I kind of spent a couple of months in Amazon research, right? So early this year, right? I try to kind of do this in this manner. But this is an interesting debate to be had, right? So all these data-driven modeling is moving to bigger companies, which become silos, if you wish, right? And it's an interesting chicken and egg problem to be solved. So companies would not actually share this data. So even if companies want to kind of open up some of the data, right, they would immediately lose competitive advantage. Or the second thing is the data protection laws are so stringent, then they would be sued left, right, center. So there is no incentive, if you wish, any incentive for companies to kind of share the data unless and until there is a researcher who wants to help the entire community in general and really high position in the company really wants to push it through. So these are interesting discussion debates to be had, which are going on in the research community as we speak.
Right. So yeah, it's very interesting because every day and out, it's always sometimes, let's say there are instances where data protection has cost life. Let's put it this way. It's a blunt statement, but especially for the medical reason, sometimes if the patient is not willing to share or whatever it is, so it's difficult. But then there are many cases where the data actually has saved, because then you can find the right person having the blood group or the heart or whatever it is, or the organ donation.